Hello, Playful Warriors, and welcome to another episode of Climate for Fun, the podcast that turns climate change into a laughing matter. It is Antonio Salituro, climate scientist, writer, and comedian. I'm thrilled to have Tim Medland with me today. Tim is a random bloke muttering to himself mainly about art, nature, and environmentalism. His words, not mine. Anyway, welcome, Tim, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks very much for having me on, Antonio.
Yeah, thanks to you. Ready to laugh at climate change as much as possible?
Insofar as it's possible to laugh about it, absolutely.
Yeah, let's try. Okay, so Tim, you are the curator of a poster exhibition about the climate crisis called We Try to Warn You. Did you choose this name because you were not allowed to call it We Freaking Told You? I mean, seriously, could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. When you're trying to come up with a name, for a show, you want it to have a hook.
Yeah.
And because these posters, it's 50 years of poster history, basically from the creation of the EPA.
Yeah.
And what was very obvious is that these poster artists, these graphic artists, all were trying to pass messages on.
Yeah.
And, although we've got that, there have been successes, to be clear. The other reality is that the world's in a bit of a mess, environmentally speaking.
Yeah.
So, they tried to warn us, and it's not, it's not going to plan. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I guess he sums up quite well, I suppose. So people can see your work at the Poster House in New York until 25th of February. I must admit that when I started reading the exhibition advertising, I was a bit confused. In fact, the landing page description starts off like, every poster in this exhibition is a failure. Wow. Okay, but when reading on, though, I figured out that you meant that the poster highlighted in the exhibit failed to change our behavior towards climate change over the last 50 years, which is kind of true. But why should they change it now, then?
So I think it's interesting, right? The early posters in particular are dealing with specific issues like air quality, emissions from exhausts, water quality, and it's not the existential stuff that we've got now. So those posters, you could say that they made some things better. They made it better in parts of the world anyway.
Okay.
So, and I had an angry email from an environmentalist saying, I expected angry emails from climate change deniers. I didn't expect one from an environmentalist.
True.
where he said, you're basically making light of our work and successes over the last decades. And I said, well, I'm not actually trying to do that. I'm just trying to make the point that a poster succeeds if people modify their behavior.
Yeah.
If it's a car poster and they want you to buy a car, you go and buy a car, it's succeeded.
Yeah.
If it's warning you, be careful of spies, and you're careful of spies, great, it succeeded. But these have, not enough people have modified their behavior. That's not the fault of the poster artist, actually. Yeah. That's the fault of people who maybe haven't done what they could do.
I suppose.
But your question is, why should they change it now? And I think the big change is we know so much more.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't actually know, really, or the bulk of the population did not acknowledge man-made climate change until 15 years ago?
Yeah, true.
True. So, and part of what the show highlights is some of the corporate duplicity.
Yeah.
We didn't know about that until fairly recently. And even if you don't believe in climate change, nobody likes being lied to.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think, that's what I was trying to highlight, that it's actually a nuanced thing. But if you have the title of a newspaper article, it's 5 words.
Yeah.
It reflects some of what's in the article, but you want people to come in and look at the show.
Yeah, true. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, honestly, you are giving a sort of opportunity to people to sort of see those posters under a different light. I mean, with a different background now. So I guess the message would be probably more impactful now. Yeah. Anyway, that's a good point. But talking about, corporate double acting. So some of your posters also warn us of greenwashing, which is very trendy nowadays, unfortunately. For instance, the famous Crying Indian ad, which is a Nico bullshit masterpiece, if so to speak.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you agree.
It's the OG of greenwashing.
Yeah. Just to give a bit background about Doug for those who don't know. So the weeping face shown in the advert belonged to an Italian-American actor rather than an Indian, so whose Indian heritage boiled down to having been shot by John Wayne in a movie. So also the commercial was promoted by Packaging and Beverage Corporation, trying to dump their pollution responsibility on individuals. So Tim, how can posters and other forms of art in general help people discriminate between genuine environmental action and messages and misleading propaganda?
If I may, I'm just going to describe this commercial.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, when I first saw the poster, when we were putting the show together, I was not born in the US. I had not seen this commercial. It's a minute long. It's on YouTube. Everybody should watch it because it's great advertising.
Yeah.
It's before digital. It's from 1971, so it was physical film stock.
Yeah.
And it was so popular that the TV stations had to go to Keep America Beautiful, this organization, and say, can you send us another film? They were wearing it through. And it's the weirdest thing, right? So I get people of multiple ages come through when I'm touring people around the show. And people who were children in the 1970s, Americans will say, oh, I love this advert. It really did teach me not to throw things into rivers. Everybody took it seriously. Yeah. And so perversely, it did get that message on. It's when I tell them after a theatrical pause that actually it's a bloody lie. That's when they go, say what? And I explain that Keep America Beautiful was owned by packaging and beverage corporations and was actively lobbying on the other side to be able to dump stuff into rivers. Yeah. And you have to visualize this Native American paddling along this stream, which becomes a river, and see the environmental degradation around him, and the classic movie zoom in on his tear. Yeah, and people go, "Wow, it's affecting. It's good TV." But how do we discriminate between people's messaging? Again, that was 1971. There was no internet.
Yeah.
I honestly think now if somebody tried to pull this stunt, it would be ripped apart on social media within a couple of days. You don't actually get to lie quite the same way. Now, of course, if you choose to take your documentary evidence from certain news channels, then you'll be all for it. But for everybody else, people know more these days.
Yeah, I guess it's easier to fact check with Google and everything. Yeah, to make sense. Okay, cool. So talking about more the physical object, though, Gen Z is not very familiar with printed posters. Yeah. So out of curiosity, has anybody touched one of yours to see if they could like it or comment on it? I mean, not really. What I'm just curious to see what has your engagement been like from younger generation so far?
Well, there's two answers to it. Firstly, we get lots of school groups come in.
Okay, cool.
It is actually the most popular school-related show we've ever had. There's schools coming through every day.
Nice.
So, because it's history as well as anything else.
Yeah, true.
And the interesting thing, right, is they make their own posters, or there are posters they can print up that come online. So posters are still very much part of press culture. You see somebody on a march holding up their phone.
Yeah.
That they hold posters. So I think people like them is actually the answer. And it's what is really interesting, again, is that they're physical things. And some of the best conversations I've seen happen are between when you get a 2-generation or 3-generation group in. So you get grandparents, parents, and kids, because they discuss things much more. It's a prompt, it allows conversation, which is for a curator, that's a dream if people are talking about your show.
True.
There was actually even one journalist who came in with her daughter. And so the daughter was asking me questions as well as the journalist, which was very cool.
Right. Yeah, because I guess you confront different perspective, different generation, obviously. Cool, that's nice.
And
nice
also remember, everybody takes their damn phone out and puts them on their Instagram anyway.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's a very grammable show.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's for sure, definitely. Cool. So, okay, so let's change topic. So COP28 will start on 30th November, so very soon. So for those who don't know, this is an annual meeting where world leaders discuss what to do to stop global warming and then do nothing about it most of the time. So wouldn't it be a great idea to have your poster spread around the conference venue to remind them to do more? That would be interesting, I think.
I think it would be interesting, and I'm all for it. If anybody listens and wants to fly me out to Dubai to hand out posters, I'm all for it. Yeah. Actually, it was interesting. There was a journalist who came through, and she asked me a question right at the beginning when the show started. She said, "Okay, of the 33 posters in the show, if you could take one to COP28 to present to the delegates, what would you take?"
Right.
And when somebody asks you a question and you smile and you think that's an excellent question.
Yeah, true.
And as yours, it's the same version of the same thing. And
pretty much.
There's one particular poster in the show from 1971, and it's from an interesting series. It's a series of 6 posters that were sponsored by Olivetti.
Cool.
An Italian, you know what Olivetti is.
Yeah, of course.
An Italian conglomerate, made typewriters, made all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it was to raise money for the UN environmental programs. And there's, some of the posters are by famous people: Roy Lichtenstein, Georgia O'Keeffe. The one that's in the show, my favorite, is by a lesser known artist now, Ernest Trober. And it's an image of a figure leaning back, and there's a shadow that comes down from him, which could also be an oil spill, and the water levels are clearly around the oil spill. There's red sky like there was in New York in August after the forest fires in Quebec. And so it's from 1971, but it's actually very prescient. But the Trover was famous for these sculptures called The Falling Man, which was of humanity leaning back into an uncertain future.
Wow.
And the thing with that is, mate, all you got to do is lean forward, right? All you got to do is have a friend push you forward. And so there's an existential part of it. And I would, I would say to the delegates, look at this. You actually have the power to do something. And, images help, words help a great deal, but images can actually change people's minds.
True. I mean, they are more powerful, I guess. They stick with you a bit more probably than words.
They can haunt you. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you are also, on a personal level, you're an environmental activist, or at least you define yourself as one. So what if climate protester threw mashed potato on one of your posters? I mean, you applaud them or mash their butts up? Like, jokes aside, do you think this is a good way to cook up a storm, or do you need to make some noise?
So I'm a member of some organizations, and they tend to favor non-violence, and but I think it's the thing, right? I understand anger, I understand frustration. Part of what you all are trying to do is talk about using humor as a diffusing mechanism. Jimmy Carr talks about stand-up comedy as being able to shift perspectives. And comedy can lighten the mood even in the darkest circumstances.
Yeah, true.
But throwing stuff at things, even if you think it's justified, is a form of violence.
Okay.
And once you've decided to throw something at something, then the next thing is to throw something at somebody.
Right.
And so, in general terms, I would try politely to say to them, I understand your anger, but if you throw something at my painting again, I'm going to have you dragged out. But it's not my personal way of doing things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, it's a delicate matter, I think. I mean, I guess it depends how that happened. I mean, I put it as a joke, to be honest, but if you look into details, again, for example, I can think about the Van Gogh one. Yeah, for example, there was a protective layer. They knew it, so they just did it for to make a bit of a make a scene.
It's a really interesting thing, right? With humor generally, I tend to favor, whether it be posters, whether it be any form of messaging, where you try and make a joke, or you try and leaven it a bit with humor, because if you're just angry,
true.
You don't persuade many people, even if it's a righteous anger.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree on that, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, that's what we are trying to do today as well.
And we're working hard at it.
Yeah, no. Well, it's a hard task, but I think we're doing good. Okay, in that regard, let's go to the even more funnier bit of this podcast. So, tell me one thing about climate change that makes you laugh. I know it's hard, but just try your best.
If I can shift it from climate change to broad environmentalism.
Okay.
One of the things I did, like as you walk into the show, there's a quote from Richard Nixon, who was the president in 1970, and it talks about atoning for the damage we've done to the environment. So it's from his State of the Nation address in 1970, which led to the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, whatever else.
Yeah.
And what I always say to people is, if Richard Nixon could get it, guys, how hard can it honestly be? Right? And it's
that's
the
true.
thing that it makes me laugh in a sort of bitter way that we've managed to politicize this, like we politicized everything, because it really, it's just not really political.
No, well,
it shouldn't be anyway. But as I say, if Tricky Dicky can get it, you can too. You really can.
No, that's a good use of a character in this case. Yeah. Okay, so what about one fun thing that people can do to fight climate change?
So activism is a spectrum. One of my personal heroes is Bill McKibben, and he always says the most important thing you can do is join something.
True.
And if you join something, you can have all sorts of fun meeting people and chatting away. There's a group that approached the museum a couple of days ago, and they want to have environmental speed dating.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So people will come and, ask each other questions about environmentalism, have a few drinks, and maybe go off afterwards into happily ever after. I don't.
We never know.
At least it's so. There's another group called the New York Restoration Project that I like, which is not going to save the planet, but it might save your neighborhood. And if it saves your neighborhood, then it's But the key thing is joining something. I think that's by far the most important thing, because it's fun to hang out with other people.
Yeah, no, I mean, you start small anyway, so you can't save the planet on your own.
It's absolutely the thing that grassroots activism is vitally important, but as long as it leads to legislation, because legislation is the only thing that ever changed anything. All the big successes have been legislative.
Yeah, obviously, we need to lobby for better laws, environmental laws, obviously.
Go vote.
That's a primary task to do. Cool. That's a very interesting point of view. And Okay, now it's quiz time. Yeah, so you ready for this? So you got 3 questions and 3 options for each question, yeah, to choose from.
Okay.
Right? So, first question is, what is the carbon footprint of a single online ad equal to? Option A, 0. Anybody saying otherwise is just greenwashing. B, charging nearly 8 million smartphones. Option C, banning all posters included in Tim Medland collection.
Don't burn my bloody posters. No. I'm gonna say the charging nearly 8 million smartphones.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot, but I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, that's it. That's what it is. That's good. Well done. Okay, so second question, who said the climate cult will inevitably be discredited? Tim Medland, after the millionth time a visitor told him that his exhibition was a failure. Option B, Tim Medland, after eating the mashed potatoes thrown by climate protesters on all his 33 posters. And option C, former Australia Prime Minister Tony Abbott.
Oh yeah, I know this one. This is Tony Abbott.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm not going to say any more about Tony Abbott. Yep.
Okay. Well, if you want to share something that we need to know, yeah, go ahead.
No. He's trying not to be political. So
okay. Abbott, fair enough. Okay. Well, sometimes I squeeze in some political bits because obviously the debate.
Bless Tony Adam.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, two out of 2. Yeah, let's focus. Yeah, fair question. First and last question. What is disasterology in the climate space? So, option A, the study of climate-driven disasters. Option B, the study of posters who fail to warn us about climate disasters. No reference in this case. Option C, the study of the increasing number of people who think that the absurd movie The Day After Tomorrow is rapidly turning into a possible reality. Which one do you go for?
Well, I think it's very rude to say The Day After Tomorrow is absurd. I mean, it's brilliant. No, I'm gonna go with A.
Cool.
Just because you've been mean about Day After Tomorrow.
Sorry for doing that. No, I should watch it again, to reappreciate it, because I watched it a long time ago, so probably
a work of genius.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. No, I really need to watch it again, I think. Okay, cool. 3 out of 3. Good, well done, mate. Well done. Well done, Tim. Good. Well done. So, right, that's the end of this Climate for Fun episode. And Tim, thank you so much for your fun contribution.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's been great.
Cool, glad to hear. And of course, thanks to whoever tuned in today. Next episode will be in a month as usual. In the meantime, remember to fight climate change one poster and laugh at a time. Ciao.